Did you need? Do you need mine?
If you wanted it here.
Yeah, if I
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
If I need it, I
Just
use
turn
it.
it on.
Yeah, is it on the box?
It's right here on the side. So just push that button and hold it in. It'll turn green. And then if you push it once, it'll mute. And once more, it'll turn red. There you go. Yeah.
Shut up.
Is there anything else you guys need before you get started?
No,
Okay, great.
Megan did want to chat with me, so just let her know.
Okay, she got stuck at a doctor's appointment, which is why I'm helping out. But she should be back by the time we're done, so I will find her and send her.
Okay, thank you.
The less of the talking to do.
Probably don't get anything too close to that.
Oh, yeah, it is weird, yeah. Alright. It started when I was giving you the signal.
Yeah, for those on the broadcast, we're getting started in a few minutes. We're just behind a few minutes.
I mean, our company involved in
It's
instances running in their base.
I want to make sure the broadcast started.
And each instance is, our paper product is legacy, so it doesn't have pure cloud. Sure. Okay, it's not smart enough that if a node goes down, you just bring up another one and everything's going to be door. That node is important. Breaks the sun.
Matt, are you on?
So that's where the,
Will you go to the Hangout and see if it's broadcasting properly? I can hold mine up here in a minute. You're already on.
Live, it says live now.
It says live now. If you play it, do you see that?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
someplace like that, that's where it's from. Still comes in. And yeah.
So making a couple quick announcements.
Yeah.
Starting at 12:15, so we can go for a little bit. I know we're not, there's nothing in here.
Nope, you guys will vote today.
They, I can't pretty much, but it's not a product. Now we have another team that built OpenStack split solution, and that's getting a lot of attention because it's long term. Right, effectively cold storage.
Because you're using the
So yeah, it stores very large files. Inexpensively related to other solutions.
So it's
primary product. We have three products. Those are our three products. Our three technologies is this new LTS2 product based on OpenStack. Our legacy product that's that's the other thing. And that's our pure cloud backup. We have an agent running on your server or your workstations and it backs up to an instance on each vault, multi-tenant vault. And then our other play is actually play, which is really cool. Back up with that. So those are the three. And you slice and dice it 100 different ways. Sure. It's the same thing. Yeah.
actually chunking basically rock formations.
To be honest, I think we're going to have to change the play. In fact, I think what the NCAA merger 15 was actually NCAA. So actually, I mean, yesterday was a show that we're learning more what they're doing. Because what happens is it's not as much storage. You get an immediate time. It would show what is on the air shows. Has linked to us. Videos. Move it up to there.
Yeah.
I can actually stand.
Oh,
Are you gonna
okay.
be standing up here?
I'll be here and then I'll just move around a little bit.
Move over that way some.
Okay.
Closer and then.
Sorry.
And then here. Mike.
Perfect.
Test.
Yeah, it works. If I use the mic when I'm here, that will be a problem, right? Because this is too close.
Too close together.
Okay, okay.
I think they'll be okay otherwise.
All right.
I don't think I project just fine with that.
Yeah, I might not need it. If I need it, only then I'll use it.
It's on mute, but as soon as you need it, I'll take it off.
Okay.
All right, you got everybody in here? Smaller group today? Smaller group today? Yeah, they should share and let them drop it. They have to sign it first. They do a great job. That's right. I thought we had, I thought it should allow you to open link that you're.
I don't have to pay for it. Right now, service copies.
All right, let's get started. Make some quick announcements here. Then ready to get started. Sean, see here? See? Every time I try to give away gift cards, nobody's here. I'm gonna give them away to other people.
There's at least a couple struggles.
Make sure they come in. Kieran just asked about, I sent a Dropbox link to a few people. Jenny, I know you and Archie, I think I sent it to. If it requires you to sign in, I'll send you a new one. I didn't think it did. I thought it would allow me to make an open folder that you can dump something in. But if it's trying to make you sign up for Dropbox, then don't do it. I will send you a new link. Okay? If you already have Dropbox, it'll probably work fine. But if you don't need to go and get it. Like I said, I thought it would be open, but I guess it's not. Nobody here to get started.
Is that the data sets?
Yeah. When I went through the data sets last night, I went through a few of them. I haven't still done all of them. But if you said you have a local file for me, I send you a link saying go to this Dropbox and put it here. But that's obviously not going to work. So I'll get another method to do that, possibly Google Drive or something else.
I'm getting close, right? And I've got Dropbox.
Okay. If you do have Dropbox and it works, great. It's just a shared folder, so you just add it in there, you dump something in there, and I get it. It's simple as that. Yeah, so the people that were getting the gift card today was Sean put in the last sets last week and stuff. Wanted to get in that, he wasn't here, it's still not here. Pam is getting the gift card this week because she turned in 350 some odd lists of data sets. It's kind of an unreal number. They won't all end up as Jared tickets because it'll kill me and it'll take an extra 10 weeks to enter. They will end up as multiple Jared tickets where there's a group kind of inside group together. So I'm working on that right now. She also did a bunch of data sets that will actually show up on Civic data sets too. So a lot of those things all in play right now. We're getting a lot more of those. Definitely keep working on the Jared tickets as much as possible, though we still need a lot of data sets. We're announcing competition next week. So we really need those data sets there and done, ready to go. Meetings, hopefully everybody saw the newsletter and I don't have to go through, but there are 5 meetings in the next week, I think.
Too many.
Yeah, too many. 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, and 1 on Friday of next week, that's 4. And then today, 5. So there's a whole lot of meetings going on, and that's for good reason. Wednesday at noon at WCF is probably the most crucial meeting, either Wednesday at noon or Wednesday evening, because we'll be announcing the competition rules, requirements, everything you need to do. And we'll have the air quality experts there. So whatever you plan to work on, that's the time to get your questions answered about what you're going to be working on. There will be Bryce and Matt there, or Bryce is still working on it. Matt will be there to answer questions about air quality. So we definitely want to be there to talk a little about those questions. Okay, yes?
Is there any Are there any data sets that you know are sitting out there that really should be worked on?
Yes.
That you could maybe draw on the list.
The ones-
So we should really look at these three. data
Well, and so we've started to compile the abstracts from those surveys and stuff, and those abstracts are the ideas of what you're gonna work on. We can't say what's the most highest priority until somebody tells us what they're gonna work on. Now, a few of the ones that have come in, a lot of them have been about traffic, a lot about commuter traffic, things like that. So the one that's the easiest to get to and the quickest would be a PEMS data set. Those are the traffic data sets where UTA already has an interface to PEMS. Alton showed how to do it a couple weeks ago to go in and get data. To me, those would probably be some of the most crucial right now. Would be anything around traffic data. Almost everyone, every abstract we've got has something to do with traffic. Okay.
If you think back to the categories of causes and effects that we mentioned before, those will be good areas to focus on.
Yeah.
So the effects were health, the economy, and quality of life, right? So those are the main pieces. On causes, there's a bunch of really, if you're looking at things like transportation, the weather, whatever else, those are going to be some additional data sets to focus your time on.
Has there been any weather data sets?
All of it, MESOS.
Okay.
MESOS is kind of your go-to place for weather data, and it's almost already formatted for you.
Sensors everywhere, air
Sensors,
balloons,
yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
And so, but somebody's already submitted a clean version of it?
Well, MESOS, yes, we, no.
Or you're just going to ingest it or make it available?
I believe, maybe I didn't put that on the civic data set. I think we made a link that's already
Okay, so
available.
that's already.
In other words, MESOS actually put that on the site, and they're sitting there, zip files, ready to go. So,
And it's ready to consume.
it's ready to consume, yeah. They dumped it directly out of the MySQL, they gave you all the pieces to it, and here it is.
But I looked at the EPA data, I went through the exercise down, and it looked very clean too.
Right.
Right. See where there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it is fairly clean, but if you talk to like Johnson John or others, you'll find that, or like Terry Kelly or whatever, you'll find that a lot of that data is fairly inaccurate. So you may want to go in, look at the EPA data, look at some other data sources as well, and try to find any accuracies.
What you need to think about too, when you say it looks clean and everything, think about how much more work you're gonna have to do when you compete. Again, Alton's presentation was a really good precursor to this, because he showed us, here's all the times, here's all the sites. I basically want to correlate that against every single other piece of data that I get. So when you say the data set is clean, and say, okay, here it is in Excel, how easy will it be to connect it to your core piece of everything else? And that's where you should really say, now it's clean, because it's going to be, hey, I dump it into 2 tables, I dump it into this high repository, and it's like that to get the numbers. Because that's where you're going to spend your time. If it's nothing more than a file, when it comes to competition time, you're going to spend a lot of time trimming over those. Okay? So keep those in mind when you submit them. When you put them on there.
John?
I didn't see everything saved. They did the same thing with death certificate. By location.
So there's infant mortality rates, fetal mortality rates, and then I think mortality rates overall. Do we have, I don't know if we have that up yet, those OPOH data.
No, it's not yet.
Yeah, so that will be available by demographic, really kind of sad stuff.
There might be a JIRA ticket inside there, but I don't think, I put them on both.
Is it by zip code?
It's by, I'm pretty sure it's by county, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and you'll find a lot of these are by county and stuff like that, kind of summary data. And that goes back to, again, how are you going to join it back to everything else? Because you may have to say, okay, now we've got county, but your other data set has all the zip codes, so you need to go get a county zip code and figure out what everything is.
And the other one has lat long.
Yeah, and then you got the zip code to that long. I thought Alton was working on that, actually. I thought he worked on the location thing as well. Yes?
One of the other things to find add to the rules is for people to track their hours.
Yeah.
So that, you know, publicity for this, and do that, and show how many man hours spent on volunteer labor.
That's one of the pieces in the rules, yeah.
But I wasn't thinking about it in the past. Hours that you've already spent this
You've
summer.
already spent, yeah.
It'd be great to do a report on that.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be a good idea. So we'll ask for that too, when there's a survey or something to start talking about. Okay, other questions about the events coming up for us?
So when do you keep the clean data? When you say data set is clean, you're keeping it in civic data?
Yeah, you can load it up on civic data, and all of the civic data, I try to link them back to a Jira ticket, so that I can actually say, okay, here's the Jira ticket that it came from, here's the data that relates to it. So later, when you're in the competition, and you're searching for something in Jira, you find the ticket, here's the data that it relates to. Yeah.
So we need a password.
For the civic data, no. The civic data will be old. Jira, you need an account for, which
We also will be having a cluster, a large cluster available, and for that, we will need to provide some credentials back. But that'll be for big data sets.
Yeah, when we announce the rules and everything next week, there will be an official registration. You'll have to register yourself as a team, register people so that we know who you are and you're actually competing. There will be some sort of registration. Other questions? All right, let's give Ray the rest of the time. He's going to help us out with what we should do on Teams. So we'll definitely want to listen in on this because it'll be very important coming up just in the next week. And then Nick and I will be here if you have any questions or anything. We'll be around for a while. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Nick, appreciate all the help you all have given us. I have until what, 7 o'clock today to finish what I'm saying? Approximately. Okay. Well. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ray. How many of you are coming here for the first time today? One person. Okay. All of you have been here for the first time. There are two things I'm going to discuss with you. One is some concept about teams, how these teams will be structured, what are the roles and responsibilities of the different teams. And the second point I'm going to discuss is a little bit about statistics. How many of you took statistics when you were going to school? Please raise your hand. How many of you are able to stay awake? All right, so I don't know how many of you are using statistics today, but as you know, it's a very vast subject, and it can be very interesting, or it can become very boring in a hurry, right? So I'll try to keep it very light for all of you. The topic I'm going to cover in statistics today is called hypothesis testing. Just a little bit of it to get you started. Please keep in mind, I'm one of your resources. I'm available to all the teams throughout this competition as far as statistics and team management is concerned. That's my biggest role, and that's the best way I can help out. Okay? Don't ask me questions about Hadoop. Don't ask me questions about SQL. I'll yawn and I'll go to sleep right away. So please don't expect that from me. Statistics, I will work with you, and team management, I will work with you. So now you understand what my role is and what we are about to do. Let me share with you a couple of ideas about the teams and what's going to happen. First of all, if you're still wondering why am I participating, what's in it for me? Well, it's a great event. You can network, you can learn, you can contribute. Yet learning is important to all of us. Everybody is affected by it. So that is the what's in it for me. Behind us, let's move forward. What enables teams to succeed? Well, there are several things that enable teams to succeed. One of them is to have a very clear sense of direction and charter. If your team doesn't know what it is going to do, nobody has told you that, the team has a very hard time starting off. Thank God, Hitler made some terrible mistakes when it came to team management. And if you are interested, you can go read it. I won't go into the details of it, but team management becomes a very important parameter in terms of how groups come together and whether they will be functional or not. So here are some ideas. We need to have goals and charter that is SMART. How many of you are hearing this SMART for the first time? What is S? Specific. What is M? Measurable. What is A? Actionable. R. Realistic. T. A T. Time bound. Goals and charters need to be SMART. If you don't have this lockdowns, I can guarantee the team will slip and slide and end up, getting dysfunctional very soon. So please, and I'm here to assist in all of this, so you can use me as a resource. Criteria of success are defined. Everybody needs to understand what does it mean to succeed. What does success look like? Framework for completing project tasks at hand. I will give you a sort of a framework that we have started working on. With myself, Nick, and a couple of other people, we are putting that framework in place so that the team kind of understands what are the boundaries, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. Essential skill sets available in the team. You want statistical analysis in your team, nobody knows how to do it. well, in the end, your reporting is going to be rather poor because nobody was able to do the analysis properly. Does that make sense? So as you form teams, think about the skill sets that you need. And if you don't have those skill sets, you need to reconstitute or add more people to the team or reformulate the teams as you go. Team members know their roles and responsibilities. We don't want confusion in the team, so every team member should know what is it that they are going to bring to the table and how they are going to participate. This is a framework that I have used very often. It's called the Blue Magic Framework. This is something I started almost 15 years ago. D is to define, O is to observe and be objective. All of this will be on the website, is that correct? So at your convenience, when you have a few minutes, just take a look at this. I'll just breeze through this very quickly and get to the point of what's the framework for this competition. M is to set up the right milestones, identify those starting from the end. Where do you want to be? Work back from there to where you are today and start identifying those milestones. A is to analyze the actions that you need to cross each milestone. G is to start creating a timeline. Put the milestones and the action steps on the timeline, and then I is where the implementation happens. C is to put checks and balances in place. As you progress, are you on track or are you missing out on the milestones? Are you slipping and sliding somewhere? That needs to happen very frequently, especially on short time frame projects like these. So that's the Blue Magic approach to running your project. Do you have to use this? No. Use it if you like it, or use your own way. I'm just suggesting to you that this is a good framework. So what are the teams that are in place today and what those teams are going to do? There is the house team, which comprises of Nick, Pat, Matt, and anybody else? So we will add those names as we put this on the website. Then there will be project teams, which will be comprised of most of you folks. The project teams are the ones that are going to do a lot of the analysis and the cause and effect identification and so on and so forth. And then we have a panel of judges. Some of the judges are identified. We are in the process of identifying some more.
So quick distinction on the house team versus project teams or other teams or whatever. The house team is going to be a large team. This is going to be a team that you guys can compete against. We're going to try to build it up with some pretty good rock stars, right? But you guys can not only compete against those, but you can use it as something to act as an example. So we'll try to tell everybody what we're doing, how we're doing it, everything else, so that you can follow some of those things along the way. But plan to compete against us, although some of the organizers are going to be eligible for grand prizes and things like that. Yes.
Good point. Let me hit the pause button for a second. Any questions so far? Yes.
I think this is the right time, but during the presentation, I'd like to know what you think should be roles that should be on every project team.
Okay.
Like, I mean, we have lots of programmers, what about, people are formatting the presentations, what about, prediction statistics. Who should be, what roles should be on every team?
That's a wonderful question. So the question was, what are the skill sets and who should be doing what on the team? Do I understand correct? What are the roles? I would recommend that not only you have data scientists or data analysts on your team, you also have a person who is good at presenting. You also have a person who can help you with analysis and statistical methods, right? You also have a person who is good at managing timelines.
You probably need somebody that's really good at ingesting the data, lunging, cleaning, just in case, because we're not going to get all the data from cleaning. And then if you're going to do anything that's very large scale, then you're going to need somebody that can be able to do some very large scale work as well.
Correct. And we will formulate a response to your question and put it on the website as well. So those who have not heard of it, they can access it. Any other questions? Okay, let me move on. So here are some ideas on what these teams should be doing and their functions. The house team, what we have decided is the house team is not going to be eligible for the grand prize. That's based on the dialogue we had between Nick, myself, and in fact, the grand prize is going to be available only for the project teams. That way, although the other teams may compete with the house team, but still, the other teams have a bigger opportunity to win some recognition and get the grand prize. The house team will also be an external interface with people outside of this group. It will also function as a project team, and it will create the overall guidelines. That is what the house team is, in the order is going to be The project teams are where the real action happens. And that's where we are expecting people to identify the cause and effects and the relationships. So the project teams will be eligible for all prizes. There will be more than one prize in this competition. They need to focus on using big data concepts and big data principles. Also, you can use data sets which are already in Jira, or you can put data sets that are not in Jira yet, and you can get those from other sources. If you decide to do that, you need to disclose what data set came from where, right?
Yes.
Are we requiring them to put the data sets on the website as well?
The requirement will be to have all code open source and all data open.
Okay.
Open may depend on the data set, right? It might be hard for you to go and ingest something to wherever we need it to be.
Okay, great. Good clarification. The teams will need to register. There will be guidelines on how to register. Maybe Nick, you can talk about the guidelines on how to register, right? And then the teams can decide their charter. You can decide that you want to look only at this subset. Air quality is a very big topic. So it's for you to decide as a team that, okay, I'm going to look at only this subset and I'm not going to look at everything. Because if you try to look at everything, the scope will expand and it will become unmanageable. I can guarantee you that. There is so much data and so much information. It will quickly expand beyond control.
Right.
Yeah.
So although we're using technologies to do this, ends versus means, right? And I'll drive this point home when we announce the rules, but all prizes, what you're trying to do, everything that we're trying to get to in the long run is about the results, not about the technologies that you're using to get there.
So panel of judges, we have identified some, others are being identified, and the criteria for evaluation is also being put in place as we speak. So that gives you a high-level view of what the different groups are and what they are doing, and what their roles and responsibilities are going to be. Let's get a little more specific on the work on the project teams. So, what we would like to see is for you to identify what affects air quality to the extent that your charter defines it. What we are looking for is analysis, insights. We are not looking for that you use so many tools and this tool and that tool. That's not as important as the conclusions and the insight that can come from the work you do, because that's where it is going to be really actionable. The other thing we are looking for is a presentation and a final report. Please keep in mind that each team will be presenting to an audience. The audience is comprised of people who are relatively non-technical people. They are not from IT. Some of them might be from other areas. Some of them might be investors. So make sure that whoever presents is able to speak to the audience very well. And if you need coaching from me in that area, I'm glad to help as well. Okay? The other thing, this was discussed earlier, we want to track how much time was spent. You brought up a good point, right? How much time was spent and how many labor hours was spent, because this is an important project, it has high visibility. So it's a good idea to share that information, and then we can compile it and share that with our judges as well. Okay? Any questions so far? We are good? All right. I know many of you are itching to get to the statistical part, isn't it? That's why there is so much silence in the room. We are going there very soon. All right. So here is a timeline that I have created. I'll just pick up 2 or 3 points here which are extremely important. The rest of them I would encourage you to take a look at on the website. All right. So bear with me as I pick up the 2 or 3 extremely important time milestones. One of the important milestones is to have your charter and your team defined by approximately 26th of August. We are sitting here today at 15th, so by 26th, we need the team form. We would like to see the charter and the proposal. What should a charter look like? Is there a sample of that? I will write a small charter and I will put it on the website. That will happen Monday or Tuesday. So you will get an idea of what the charter needs to look like. You have to be exactly at the writing that way, no. Choose your own. I will post 5 or 6 samples, and that will kind of help you decide which one works for you, or you create your own. That's a very important milestone that's coming up ahead of us. After that, the team will be able to work for quite some time. The next important milestone is here. By 24th of September, we would like to see your draft presentation. That gives you a few weeks to work through as a team, crunch the data, do the analysis, gain the insights, and start crafting what your presentation or draft report is going to look like. The next milestone is 1st of October. 1st of October, we are required to give the final presentation, and then we are required to submit that to the judges. Right, Nick?
Yep, and then they'll take a week to review, and then the following week, you'll need to come and present to the judges panel at some point as well.
So is that date decided at this time?
Probably be that Mondays through that whole week, because I mentioned will be enough.
Okay, so we'll put that date up on the website as well. Okay? So that gives you a sense of the important milestones ahead of us. Team formation, because we are here today, it may not be a bad idea to kind of start identifying who will be your team members and start talking to people to start forming your teams. That can continue for a while, but it may be a good idea to get started today. That would be my recommendation. All right, let's get to the more interesting part here. Are we ready to go do some statistical work? All right. So let me share some thoughts with you on hypothesis testing, and we will probably be doing correlation analysis as well, and maybe regression, depending on how deep you want to go. How many of you have actually done hypothesis testing before?
Have or have not?
Have. Okay, so out of a group of about 15, about 4 people. This is very typical. Hypothesis testing, I will be discussing it with you without the jargon, so it will be at a very simple level, but yet it is very, very powerful. So what exactly is hypothesis testing? Let me pose a question to you. If I draw a line in the center of this room, I have got some people this side, some people that side. How many of you think that the weights of people on this side is going to be statistically significantly different from the weights of people on this side? The rest of you are shy, or you don't want to participate? You don't have an opinion? I'm just asking for an opinion. I'm not going to grade it. That's okay. You think the weights are different this side than the other side. Some people think so, some people don't think so. And that's all right. So what do I need to do? I need to collect some data, isn't it? So let's go collect some data real quick. I'm not going to ask you to speak up, because if I ask you to speak up, that can become a problem, right? So, please keep one post-it for yourself, pass it the others to the other people, and on that post-it, just write down your weight. I don't know who weighs what. It's okay, it's just an exercise. Just write down your weight and then pass it on to other people. I know only about 20 people. Once I get the data, I will punch it in real quick and we'll go to the next step. All right, so. Just your weight. Pass it forward. Move the rest to the others, so others can interchange weights as well.
Is this count the people on each side and not counting the people? Yes, that's how many people.
You need to use real data. You need to use real data.
Hey, Ray.
Yes, sir.
They're mentioning on the hangout, stay close to the mic.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you stay close to it.
Okay. You want me to hold it in my pocket? I don't think I can put it in my pocket. Okay. Yeah. Okay, make sure we don't mix up the post-its, okay? Otherwise, I'll have polluted data, and that will be a problem.
Not better quality.
Yeah. Okay, this was this side, right? Oh, it's that side. punch those in a minute. So let's try to understand what exactly is hypothesis testing and how do we do it, and how do we do it in a reasonably good way. This can be a very, very big topic. Let us say we want to find out whether PM 2.5 changed between 1999 to 2003, and then going down to the next 5 years. How do we find out? We can get some data, but just looking at the data, we are not going to be able to answer that question. So, a student t-test can be a good idea to answer that question. You start off by discussing what is called an alpha level. Alpha level is the risk level that you are willing to tolerate, and in a way it means what are the chances that I will come to a wrong conclusion. Okay? So that's typically what the alpha level is. There is more technical jargon behind this, but I'm keeping the jargon out so that we can really understand the fundamentals of it. Then you calculate what is called a p-value. And the way you draw the conclusion is that if the p-value is below that alpha value, then you say that, okay, there is evidence to suggest that there could be a statistically significant difference. If the p-value is much higher than the alpha value, then you say there is not enough evidence to suggest that there is a statistically significant difference. Does that make sense? If a statistician hears me, they will probably shoot me because I try to simplify things a lot. But for us common folks to understand, especially for me, I want it very simple, in straight plain language so that I can use the tool. At the end of the day, I look at hypothesis testing as a tool to make decisions. I really don't want to get caught in the minutiae of the jargon and what have you. What are the tools that you can use to do the computations? There are so many tools available. I just identified some of them. You can use Excel, you can use Jump, you can use SAS. I don't know what tools you all have used. You can use R, which I am just beginning to learn at this point. I have personally used SAS long time ago. I used Jump. But these days, for most small data sets, I just get by in Excel. So today's demonstration will be done using Excel. One of the first things, when you get your hands on the data, and 99% of the people I talk to, they don't do an analysis for outliers. Have you heard this term before? Outliers? I always recommend that you start off your analysis by looking at outliers first. If you have outliers in your data, you need to question. What do you need to ask? Okay, is this outlier a real data point, or is this an error? Because if you have error in your data set and there are outliers that are really errors, then the rest of the analysis is going to be down the tube. And you will come to the wrong conclusions. Does that make sense? I'll show you how to do the outlier analysis also based on the macro that I have written. And if you want these macros, I'm happy to provide it to you. When you start working as a team and you need to do this analysis, I'm glad to help you out at that point as well. Okay? So what I will do now is I'll punch in this data set into the spreadsheet real quick and do the analysis live with you. Okay? This is the spreadsheet I have created for doing the relatively small data sets with the outliers. Just bear with me, it will take barely 2 to 3 minutes to punch all of this in, and we'll be off and running very soon. So as I mentioned, the first thing I will do is do the outlier analysis, and we will be off to the races after that. Say that again? Okay, so here is my first data set. Can everybody see what is on the screen? Is this better? Everybody can see this? Yeah? Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Just take a cursory look at this. Do you think any one of these points is out of whack? Is there an outlier? What do you think? How many of you think there is an outlier? One person, the rest of you obviously have an opinion that there is no outlier. Who's right? You see the dilemma we are already in? Now, what is the tendency when you see an outlier? What is our tendency?
Try to figure out why they're in outline.
Great question. Many people actually just toss it out. They say it doesn't belong. With every decision you make, there are associated risks and consequences. Okay? But let me give you a crisp method to test for outliers. There are several techniques that are used. I'm going to show you the technique that is called based on the interquartile range, IQR. Okay? That's what is in this method. There are other ways to do it also. And you can choose what you want to do. So I'm going to run a quick test on the outliers with this data set. I'll just go through. This macro has a lot of things in it. Like I said, if you're interested, I'll be happy to provide it for you. Okay. So here it says the upper outlier is 212 and the lower outlier is 105, excuse me, 100. This is based on an IQR of 1.5. Okay? What does that mean? If in this data set I have a value below 100 or if I have a value of above 212, right? I need to go ask the question, does this data point belong in here or is this an error? If it's an error, I need to find a way to correct it. I may also decide to toss it out if it's an error. So I need to ask that question. So now let's go back to the data set and look. Was there anything below 100? Well, let's go look at the data set. So this is telling me that I don't have an outlier, at least based on the outlier test that I have used. Okay? So yes, you cleaned up the data, you did a lot of work on getting the data set up properly. But from there, this is the next level of cleanup is what I would suggest. Test for outliers. Do I have anything exceeding 212? And the answer is no. Okay, so I have one data set. I'll pick that up from here and park it in a different part of my spreadsheet for right now. And then I'll come back and add the other data set and do the same test again. So here we go. I'm about to ask you a question. Why do I not want both the data sets to be loaded and look for outliers in the combined data set? Why do you think I don't want that? Notice what I'm doing, right? I'm just putting one data set at a time, and I'm not using all of that clubbed together. Why do you think I'm not doing that? Not only, absolutely right. And what will happen if I combine the two? The limits on my outliers will balloon, right? And then I'll start contaminating my analysis by making mistakes there. Oh, nice. Nice. That is definitely an outlier, isn't it? Okay. 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 So here we are. Well, it says 522 if you want to read it. We'll get to that in a second, okay? Okay, very good. I'm done entering my data. Upper outlier is 337, lower outlier is 97.5. Do you think I have an outlier in this data set? Yeah. Something was above 337, wasn't it? I think that number was 522, if my memory serves me right. One of you had a question, how come it could be 522? Well, I asked, who said that? He needs to get it hard. No, actually, that's exactly what happened. Somebody wrote it upside down. I couldn't figure out, so I entered 522. So we found the error. We are going to correct it. We are going to correct it. And then run the test for outliers again. Okay? All right. So now it says upper outlier is 312, lower outlier is 112. Get the idea? So I have a data set that I can at least believe in. Does this mean that this data set has 0 errors in it? No, that's not what this means. It says that based on the outlier test, this data set looks like it is fairly homogeneous. It could still have errors in it. And I couldn't tell you how to figure out all the possible errors that a data set can have. But at least do this. Right? Okay, let's move on. So
we still have one data point outside range, right?
Do we?
I think so.
Okay, let's go check it. So above 312 and below 112. So let's go see. Oh, there it is. Good point. So now I need to ask the question, is that a valid number or is there an error of some kind, right? And if it is an error, can I get the correct number? And if it's a valid number, I'll just leave it there. It is what it is, right? Now I can move on. So let us say we did that. We went and verified that this is a valid number. So now I'm going to move forward and do the t-test. So I'll pick up this data from here, and I'll park it right next to the other data set. Notice that my n value is different for group A and group B. In other words, the number of data points for these two are different, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to have exact n values for both. If you are doing a difference test, then you need to have them exact, and you run the t-test in a slightly different way. I'll leave this for what it is for right now, and I'll punch in the formula for t-test in Excel. So t-test of here is my first array, and then here is my second array, and I'll do a test of 2 tails for right now, and 3 which says that unequal variances for that data set. And the answer is 0.007. That's the p-value. Usually, you consider an alpha level of 0.05 in most cases, but the alpha level is something you choose. Nobody tells you that it has to be 0.5. You can choose an alpha of 0.1. You can choose an alpha of 0.2, depending on your situation. Accordingly, your risk level starts going up. If you have chosen an alpha value of 0.05, and the p-value is 0.007, what does that tell you? That there is a statistically significant difference between the two data sets. Now you have got a reasonable degree of computational analysis that helps you draw a conclusion. Okay? But exactly what is this 0.007? I'll take a stab at it and try to help you understand in simple terms. The chances that you could be wrong in your decision are about 0.70%. In very simple terms. Does that make sense? How did I get that 0.7%? You multiply this with 100, get 0.7%. That is the value of the t-test. Now, some of you said, before I started this exercise, that you think there is a significant difference between the two groups. Many of you did raise your hand. But now, based on the data, unless some of you lie, which I don't know, but based on this analysis, it tells you that yes, there is a significant difference between the two groups. Is that right? Was this difficult? It was reasonably straightforward and easy to grasp. Right? It gives you a good amount of confidence in the statement and the conclusion that you are going to come to. But again, keep in mind, statistics is not a very exacting science like physics and chemistry. So there is always probabilities involved, and there are always chances that you will make an incorrect conclusion. Your goal is to reduce those chances as much as possible. Okay? Any questions?
Would we use the IQR method to, as you know, we were talking earlier with data, we're trying to clean the data.
Mm-hmm.
Would we use that to throw out the outliers in our data sets as we're looking at rows that have thousands, not million rows?
Correct.
Is that the efficient way to do it?
IQR is one way to do it. You have to write the code in R or whatever other language you are going to use. Now, I'm not an R programmer. I'm learning R. But if you have somebody who knows R on your team, I can work with that person, give you the raw formula, and then work with that person, work with the team going forward.
But this will be a method.
This will be one method. There are other ways to do that analysis also. I'll recommend one more thing. Many times, people don't graph their data. They don't look at the visuals of the data. Okay? And the important reason to look for that is because if you have a bimodal distribution, that's a yellow flag to you. That's an indicator of inhomogeneity right there. So I will start looking at why is there a bimodal distribution. Most of the time in large data sets, you will either get a normal line distribution or a Poisson distribution or some kind of a continuous distribution like that. You don't expect bimodal distribution, but if there is, you want to ask some questions. Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, you probably wouldn't want to do any outlier analysis in the data cleansing state prior to competition.
Correct.
Because you want to let each team decide what to do with it.
Correct.
And it's also important, depending on what algorithm you want to use, if you're doing some kind of machine learning, some of those algorithms do outlier analysis is built into the algorithm.
Okay.
And so, you want to just kind of take it in there.
That's
Yeah, I was going to mention that too as well. Don't try to do the test necessarily just to get it up on the clean site. That needs to be as raw as possible, and then let the teams decide how they're going to do that analysis.
Correct.
Because it is up to the teams to say, this is what we feel about the data. And I would say every team that pulls one of those data sets down, they need to do that check themselves to validate that they have the data they expect.
Well, even in an earlier example, we saw the 2.5 data plotted in R.
Yeah.
Right? Very wildly. And then you have the outlier for July.
Yeah.
We're not the outlier, but we're doing the data, but not there.
So yeah, definitely it is, as you said, it's a lot on the teams to make that decision, because they are going to be the ones saying, this is the data we found, this is how we found it, and this is what we did with it. So they are the ones that have to make that commitment. Pushing the data up to the civic site, to the clean site, that's just saying I have made this accessible for everyone else to use, and have to find it. I haven't said, this is the most rock solid data set you're ever going to get, because that makes sense, everybody.
Good point. Any other questions? Okay, I believe we can wrap it up then. Okay. Thanks for your time.
So as I said, if you have any questions about the competition or anything, well, you won't hear all of the official announcements till Wednesday of next week. But Ray alluded to a lot of the dates and deadlines and stuff like that. Yes.
So I'm just kind of curious, new to this stuff, just met Nick. If you've done the other competitions, how would you see the team swarming on it? What's the process? Is it
Well, he's not here, so I don't know how much I'm going to give away. We haven't decided.
the process to form up the teams, the process is going to be basically up to individuals to find their teams and stuff. Ray has given a lot of guidance. He's going to give a lot more guidance. But basically, the teams are going to be a group of people. And we're just going to give you an idea based off of the team that we create that gives you an idea of what the team should look like, but not, you can go off of different than what we're doing. So I know that's vague and it didn't really answer the question, but we're waiting till Wednesday kind of do a lot of that.
Any sort of logistics in terms of advertising yourself? Hey, this is what I could bring to the team, sort of thing, or something like that.
Stand up to the crowd right now. Explain that here.
Yes. On that,
Yeah.
the Wednesday night crowd is usually different than the Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday crowd is different than the Friday crowds. So if we make a tour of the different groups and say, I'm here looking for team members, you'll get a better networking.
Yeah, that's the in-person thing. Online, Google Groups is your best bet. The UHUD group that we have set up, you can post right there inside there and say, I'm looking for a team. Here's some of my skill set. Here's where I would like to work on. Something like that.
Okay.
And we'll be making some announcements specifically about people if they don't get picked up in things. So there's still a lot to do. But like I said, Wednesday of next week, definitely you'll hear a lot more.
Please mention to us that you're looking for teams.
Yeah.
Try to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick and I are very good at putting people together and, matchmaking and that sort of thing. What?
We say we're good, but we really think we're going to have Terry do all that.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, we're going to volunteer. You're on volunteers. What? From the house team, you're not allowed to poach from our team. Let's put it that way. But our team will have certain restrictions on it as well. So.
Who is in the home team?
We have not released that yet or discussed that. If you ask somebody next week and you say, hey, join my team or something like that, and they say I'm in the house team, then you'll have your answer. We have not released that or set that up.
The untouchables ones that we can't take out will be people that are organizers.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to be just running across the independent person. And if we pick up somebody out of the crowd, some of the teams, we're okay getting back into a team. That we can get the correct direction.
Yeah, you got to remember our primary goal here is improve air quality and build the community. We want you to get together as teams. We're definitely not making a team of secretive individuals or groups or anything like that. We want you to get together as teams. So please tell us what you're looking for. Come and talk to Nick and I, and we'll let you know what other people are doing when they come and talk to us as well. But nothing else, you have to be social at events like this. You have to talk to your neighbor, you have to talk to other people, so you can find out where you're going to work well as a team. Okay?
And you guys can help fill those holes. So if you need a project manager, we'll
Yeah, and we have a few of them lined up. Yeah. So, any other questions? No? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There's still some sandwiches, grab flyers. Oh, Carrie has some fluorescent slides.